Last summer, Poema began to discern a call that we could be doing more. We could serve more women. We could open our doors a little wider. We could do something to remove some of the barriers that some survivors had encountered as they sought healing and refuge at our safe house. So we began to do the work over the last 12 months of identifying some of those barriers and getting them out of the way. The first barrier we identified was presence. For years, our safe house has done incredible work supporting women in that transitional space between healing and independent living. And as a transitional home, our staff were usually only on site during normal business hours. However, as we begin to welcome women in who are earlier in their healing journey, we need to surround them with a supportive and caring staff who can sit with them and listen during the dark nights and the lonely weekends.
With that being said, we're hiring.
The second barrier we identified was programming. As a transitional home, our staff's interactions with the residents focus primarily on goal setting and personal development. However, identifying and healing from trauma requires so much more. So earlier this year, we hired a licensed master social worker to come and work with our program director to develop a curriculum focused on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. The goal of that curriculum is to create space for each of our residents to uncover the lingering personal effects of the traumas they've experienced, identify the effects that it's had on their relationships and their sense of self, and chart a new way forward. The final barrier we identified was partnerships. Providing adequate care for survivors who are just at the beginning of their healing journey requires more than round-the-clock staffing and good programming. We need an army of medical professionals, mental health providers, and volunteers who can come alongside and assist our residents in meeting their most basic needs. So, over the last 6 months, we have begun to build a network of friends and partners and volunteers, but the work is not yet done. Which is why it's our prayer that you would say yes if God is calling you to join us in this fight to serve survivors. So why does this matter? Well, last year there were 16 brave survivors who were unable to receive care at our safe house because we lacked the necessary presence, programming, and partnerships to be able to provide the depth of support they so desperately needed. But today, 13 of them would be able to call our safe house home. Earlier this month, we welcomed our very first resident to this brand new multi-phase curriculum. Over the coming weeks, we'll be in final interviews to welcome another. And by the end of the year, with your prayer and the Lord's help, we could be welcoming our very first international resident, coming to us all the way from Africa to start her healing journey here. Fully staffed and implemented, this new model adds just over $100,000 to our safe house budget, which is why your support is so important. Whether it's donating for the very first time, becoming a monthly donor, sharing our information with your friends and neighbors and coworkers, we cannot do this work without you standing beside us. Please join us in this fight to bring hope and healing to as many survivors as possible.